Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. Now tonight we're going to be drinking Johnnie Walker Red. That's literal garbage. Sorry. Alright, tonight we're going to be drinking Johnnie Walker Red Label. Wait a minute. This is pure gasoline. Alright, let me try again. Tonight we're going to be drinking Johnnie Walker Red Label. Usually during this section, I talk about the distillery. However, since Johnnie Walker is a blend and comes from many different distilleries, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the history. So Johnnie Walker, as you may have guessed, is named for a man named John Walker. Now, John Walker, as a kid, used to work on his father's farm. Now, around the time that John was 14, his father passed away. So John said, farming thing really isn't for me. I'm going to go travel to Kilmarnock and open up a grocery store, which he did. So in this grocery store, as with many grocery stores at that time, they sold scotch, and Johnnie Walker was no different. So he came up with a scotch called Walker's Kilmarnock Whiskey, and he would sell it, and it did well. Well enough that he actually ended up making several more single malt scotches called Old Highland, Special Old Highland, and Extra Special Old Highland. Very, very creative once again. Anyway, so things were going well. He was selling these things. He ended up having a son named Alexander. And towards the end of John Walker's life, Alexander was really getting involved with the business. And he actually started kind of encouraging his father to ship some of this whiskey. So he ended up actually hiring captains and giving them some whiskey and saying, sail as far as you possibly can and sell this whiskey. And it was a great idea because they ended up introducing the whiskey to about 180 different countries. In fact, today, there's no country in the world that doesn't have at least some Johnnie Walker available for sale. Kind of a crazy thought. So around 1860, John Walker died. And that also was around when Alexander decided to make a couple modifications to this bottle. Number one, he made it square. Now, square bottles are great for crates because you can fit more of them in it, and also it reduces breakage. I went over this a bit in my Jack Daniels video. Also, more kind of genius, he slanted this label 24 degrees, and what that allowed is for larger type so that it would stand out a little bit more on any shelf. And that actually ended up proving to be a really great idea because it did exactly that, and sales boomed. So around the year 1900, Alexander's son, Alexander II, he actually took over the company, and he ended up introducing the concept of these different colored labels. So they go anywhere from red, black, double black, green, gold, platinum, and then you all know blue. So there's a few others, scattered in there, but those are the main staples that you can find even today. That about does it for the history of Johnnie Walker. Johnnie Walker Red is 80 proof, and it's a blend of 35 different malt and grain whiskeys. Now, its true purpose really is to mix with soda. However, for the purpose of my review, I prefer to take a whiskey at face value. So that's how I'll drink it. So let's get right into the nosing and the tasting. Can't wait for this. All right, cheers. Oh man, all right. All right, so remember that can of gasoline? That wasn't far from the truth. This is, man, this has just such a, well, all right. There's a little bit of sour apple and there's a little bit of toffee in there, but outside of that, it's just pretty much burn, which is really bad for an 80 proof whiskey. You usually don't get a burn until you get a little bit higher, at least to like 90, 95, 4, somewhere in there. But this stuff is just, it's rough. Yeah, and man, all right, let's just go ahead and get this over with. Cheers. It's just bad. So there's a little bit of spice in there, and it's got a bit of an oaky finish. Smoky finish. I guess I could kind of give it that. But the burn at the end, it's just like, you've seen me, I drank Booker's last episode, and I was just like nothing. This is just bad. All right. Anyway, I think I've made my opinion pretty clear on this whiskey. I would not recommend buying this. In fact, obviously not now, but earlier I had some of this with soda, and it's just like, just get Jack Daniels if you really want to mix a whiskey with your soda. I get that they're different, but not really if you're going to be blending stuff with your soda. So anyway, that about does it for this episode, because my voice is pretty much shot after drinking even a little bit of that. It's just rough. All right, so thank you very much for joining me here. I wanted to take a quick minute to just mention my couple Patreons or patrons that joined my Patreon page. I don't know if you know this, but this show is supported by patrons, and if you have any interest in helping me to support the show, I would really appreciate you taking a minute to go check that out. There's several rewards at different tiers, and you guys know how that all works. But outside of that, please subscribe to the channel. That's really where I get the most fun out of this. So please help support the channel by subscribing and liking and commenting, all that stuff. And I'll see you next time on the Whiskey Dictionary.